There is so much drama going on in the world of professional wrestling, and the question is AEW becoming, or has it already become, a modern day WCW? In this video, we're going to be talking about how AEW has become what once was WCW. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button down below. Stay up to date with all things from me right here on the Angle Podcast on YouTube. And hit that bell because I post constantly, whether it's a short or a long form video like this. Every day, there's always content from the Angle Podcast right here on YouTube. So like I said, in this video, we're going to be talking about why AEW has become the modern day WCW. Don't get me wrong, I'm not a hater on AEW. I'm actually a fan of AEW. I don't watch it as much as I used to because for me personally, it's kind of fell off. It's not really the same product that I once loved. It doesn't really feel like that indie promotion that it once felt like. And through, I've always been a WWE guy. Now, granted, we love all things of pro wrestling. I love all things of pro wrestling, whether it's WWE, whether it's AEW, Impact Wrestling, NWA. Well, maybe not NWA, but I love everything in the realm of professional wrestling. And AEW has had such drama around its name. Tony Khan rumbling so much negative stuff on social media, kind of airing their nonsense out instead of it being held back, having it been have it being private. It's more public, and I'm honestly not a fan of that. I don't like seeing the politics play out on social media within wrestling, and we see it a lot in AEW. So when I say AEW is the modern day WCW, let me explain. Now, back in the day, WCW was built on the likes of Hulk Hogan, Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, the NWO. We saw Eric Bischoff there. There was a lot. Goldberg, Bret Hart. There was plethora of names in WCW. WCW became a competitor for WWE or WWF back in the day, in the 90s. And it became, obviously, what is known as the Monday Night Wars, bringing in the birth of the Attitude Era, because there was a time when WCW was beating WWE, WWF in the ratings. So WWF had no choice but to adapt or perish, as Triple H says. Becoming WWE, bringing in the Attitude Era, creating stars like Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, The Undertaker, Kane, Triple H, Mankind. The list goes on and on. And for WCW eventually fell off and was purchased by Vince McMahon and merged into WWE. And obviously, 2023, we're here today. There's no more WCW. So let me backtrack a little bit when I say that AEW is the new modern day WCW. When I say that, you look at stars like Chris Jericho. You look at stars like Bryan Danielson. You look at stars who have really shaped the world of professional wrestling, who are considered veterans today, who are considered legends today. The likes of Sting is there as well. These guys and girls have gone to AEW to rejuvenate their careers. But also, if you look at the product today, the product is all of these veterans. You see Chris Jericho in all the storylines. You see a lot of Sting, Bryan Danielson, Jon Moxley. These are all guys who are running the ship at AEW. Now, with the younger stars in AEW, we're not seeing as much development. We're not seeing as much of a push. We're not seeing as much of a inflation, I would say is the word. It's not inflated with this young talent that are being elevated to the main event. It's a lot of pushing the older veteran-esque talent, keeping them relevant, having them at the top of the card, and really just not doing what they should be doing with the younger talent. We see names like Sammy Guevara. We see names like Jade Cargill. Jade Cargill now signed with the WWE, a breaking news day for the world of professional wrestling. Jade Cargill, her AEW contract expiring, and now I feel like she'll go to WWE and be taken seriously. She'll be elevated in a spot where she deserves to be. She may not be the best in the ring. We know that there is room for development for Jade Cargill. But her star power, she is so unique and different that she is a Hollywood type star. She can transition over to do movies and TV shows and all the outside stuff that goes into being a superstar. Jade Cargill has it. And now that she's in WWE, we'll see that come out. We'll see her be a megastar, not only in professional wrestling, but I think she'll have plenty of opportunities outside of wrestling as well. We saw that happen with Sasha Banks, Mercedes Moné when she was in WWE, became a huge star, went and did Star Wars, went and did so many other things. And I think Jade Cargill will now have the opportunity. But AEW was not utilizing her. And that's the big issue here with AEW. They are not utilizing their younger talent, their talent that they can create to be the future of pro wrestling. Someone like a Jade Cargill, someone like a Ricky Starks, someone like a Sammy Guevara. So when I say AEW is the modern day WCW, because if you look back in the day at WCW, names like a young Chris Jericho, a young Eddie Guerrero, a young Rey Mysterio, Dean Malenko, Chris Benoit, the list goes on and on and on. These guys were not getting the opportunities in WCW. Some were released, some jumped ship to WWE and became huge stars because WWE is the best at building stars. There's no questions about it in my mind. WWE is just, they are the best of the best when it comes to creating stars. So that's why these stars jump over. So now we're seeing it play out today where Chris Jericho is the veteran. So if you look back in the day at WCW, you had Hulk Hogan, Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, all these older veterans just running the show all over the place in the main event with the world titles, and the younger talent were drowning, and they eventually either were released or quit or let their contract expire, jumped ship to WWE, and became major stars. Now we're seeing the same thing happened in AEW. AEW is focusing on the veteran talent. Now Chris Jericho being in the reverse role of where he was back in the 90s. Chris Jericho is the veteran at the top of the card, being put in all these big marquee matches, winning world championships. The Elite, Kenny Omega, Sting, Bryan Danielson, Jon Moxley, all these guys who, obviously, they are some of the best wrestlers in the world and deserve everything that they have. But they are running the show, whether it's on Dynamite or Collision in AEW, and we're not seeing the same opportunities for that younger talent. The same problem we saw back in the day with WCW. And now we're starting to see talent go over to WWE to get those opportunities. We saw it with Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes was a megastar in AEW. He jumped ship to back to WWE for whatever reason, so I'm not really going to use him as an example, but Jade Cargill is a really big eye-opener here in the world of pro wrestling. Jade Cargill going over to WWE, being a huge star that she is, not being utilized properly because Tony Khan and AEW are putting focus on the veterans and putting focus on the big names that they can sell tickets, because we know AEW is having a problem selling tickets. It's not a secret. They're having problems. It is what it is. This is not a knock on them whatsoever. But they are having issues with building stars, and Jade Cargill going over to WWE. We're going to see this continue. I will not be surprised if we see the likes of Ricky Starks, when his contract expires, jump ship to WWE. I would not be surprised to see the AEW World Champion, MJF, make a jump eventually over to WWE. 2024 is going to be a very, very big year for the pro wrestling world, because that's when a lot of the big contracts in AEW, but not only AEW, in WWE as well, in other companies as well. We're seeing it happen now with Impact Wrestling. We're seeing PCO leaving in October. Sami Callihan is up this month in September. There are going to be a lot of free agents, a lot of opportunities in the world of pro wrestling. So 2024 is going to be a big year. We're going to see a lot of people moving around places we haven't seen them before. It's going to be a great, great year, a boom year, I think, for pro wrestling. So like I was saying with Jade Cargill, obviously huge news going over to WWE, being the news being broken to the world by ESPN. It's not every day that WWE allows a huge platform like that to announce a signing, especially someone like Jade Cargill, who is not a very well-known performer. She has not been doing this for many years. She is coming over from the competition. It's not like they're proud to say, oh, AEW alum. No, they just know that she's going to be a star, that she is a star, and that they're going to utilize her properly. So ESPN breaking the news that Jade Cargill is coming to WWE, has signed already and started at the Performance Center today. There's video footage of that. Is a big sign that Jade Cargill is going to be a huge megastar in WWE, but also have those opportunities to grow outside of WWE, and that is where AEW is lacking. So if you got anything out of this video, yes, I believe that AEW, because they're not utilizing their younger, fresh, up-and-coming talent, and they're focusing on the veterans and the older talent in the locker room. Granted, they sell tickets and they get ratings, but it's also about building the younger talent, and we're seeing them all jump, or at least start to jump over to WWE when their contracts expire. And that's what happened in the 90s with WCW and WWE. Those contracts expired, they were released, whatever the case may be. They started to jump ship to WWE and became huge stars. So that question in my mind is, why Chris Jericho? Why? Why are you doing exactly the opposite of what, like, you have the experience. You were that young, hungry talent trying to get over and just not being given the opportunities in WCW. And you jumped ship to WWE and became this huge megastar. If it wasn't for that, you wouldn't be the Chris Jericho you are today. So we're seeing Chris Jericho take those opportunities and be the main attraction, or one of the main attractions in AEW, where the younger talent are not necessarily getting those opportunities. So it's kind of strange to see the role reversed all these years later with Chris Jericho. It's mind-boggling to me. So yes, I do believe that AEW is a modern day WCW. And if they don't change the way they're doing things, they may end up the same way that WCW ended up. And WWE, like I said, it's not a knock on AEW. I love all things pro wrestling. They should just be looking to the past to not recreate it in this sense. Because sometimes it's positive to do that, but in this case, it's negative. WCW ended up going under because of that very issue, and it became a problem in the world of professional wrestling. A lot of these names going over to the WWE, creating names for themselves, and we're going to see it again happen in 2024, at least starting now through 2024. These younger talents not getting opportunity in AEW, jumping ship to WWE, creating names for themselves. It's going to be a mega eye-opening scene coming in the world of professional wrestling. And if AEW and Tony Khan doesn't change the way that they're doing things, it's only going to be downhill for them. If you haven't already, subscribe down below, hit that button, that bell, and stay up to date with all things from me right here on the Angle Podcast on YouTube. Every day I post shorts, long-form content like this where I just kind of talk and give you insight into professional wrestling. All great pro wrestling content right here on YouTube. And there are so many videos past that I've talked like this in regards to giving information with the WWE sale. I love to give a different perspective on the world of professional wrestling. Some may say that you may not get this information anywhere else. I hope that is the case. That's why you come here. That's why you subscribe. And I will see you in the next one. I don't know what you're still doing here. Get out of here and go subscribe and go watch more videos right here at the Angle Podcast. See you later.